Anyways, back to the Minecraft. Um, I did say we have an interview for you guys surrounding this match, I guess, for lack of a better word. And I think before we get into the player spotlight, we can throw it over to that interview, get a first look at one of the players in this match coming up, and then we will see you guys in a bit.
Hi, my name is Bloonskiller. I am a 19-year-old Minecraft speedrunner. I have been speedrunning this game for about 4, almost 5 years now, and I am also a moderator for the speedrun.com leaderboards. I first saw MCSR related stuff back in I think 2016 when I saw Ant Venom play SSG, and I remember watching old SGDQ stuff, and I thought that stuff was really cool. But my first time actually playing was in 2019 when I was browsing YouTube, and I saw a video Illumina entering the Nether in 14 seconds. And I watched that video and I was like, wow, that's pretty slow. I could probably beat that. And then I ended up booting up Minecraft 1.11 or 1.1. And then later that day I ended up beating it. And then I ended up playing lots of category extensions for the next year or two. I was very surprised because I didn't really think I was gonna do that well because I wasn't really focused on anything ranked related for basically the whole season. And then I just wanted to play the qualifier for fun pretty much. And then by the time I got to round 3 or 4, I was like, oh wait, I have no marks. I actually have a chance of winning this thing. Once I got to the final round and I ended up getting second place, I was just so happy. I just didn't expect to get that far at all. How do you feel about your chances in your upcoming match and the bracket in general? Going up against Rao, first round is crazy. I am a little bit scared. I do feel Rao's strengths are basically my weaknesses, but at the same time, anything can happen. No. I'm boring. I have no other fun facts. I speedrun Minecraft all day. So, a fun fact about me is that I've been playing a game called Speed Builders for the past about 7 years, since 2016. And Speed Builders is a game where you get a specified build in a 7x7x7 area, and you try to memorize the build as quickly as you can, and then recreate it as fast as you can. I used to hold about 100, 150 world records at my peak. I think I'm pretty good at it. It basically survives on private servers now that Mineplex is dead, but it's still very fun. Oh, and also, back whenever I did CatX, I used to have the most world records in Java Edition speedrunning. I think I have a screenshot of me having 40 records, all with first place on the speedrun.com in my profile, and it looks really funny. There's quite a few people, mainly Doog and Silver. Silver's mental towards the game, and his desire to always improve is really awesome, I think, and it's something I strive to do as well. And Doog's just ability to get sub 10s literally every session he plays is just astonishing to me. I also am inspired by Neeby. Just the way his attitude towards the game is as well, and it's just really inspiring. And the fact he engages so much with people to try and get them to be better at the game.
Big ups to Alistair for editing that. That was very awesome interview. I mean, a lot of information to work with, but I don't know. I mean, like Blues was saying, going up against Rao, the #1 seed in the first round is definitely scary, as Bloons is our 16 seed, but anything can happen. I mean, like you said too, Bloons definitely has his strengths, Rao has his strengths, Bloons has his weaknesses, Rao has his weaknesses, and we'll just have to see when we get into the gaming who's playing better Minecraft the day of. I think Rao does have an advantage, and I think if we throw it over to our player spotlights, we can look more at that advantage potentially from a statistical perspective. But I mean, look at the numbers here for round 30. What stands out to you on this chart, graph here, whatever?
You know, there's a lot of things that you could argue stand out the most, but can we just talk about that? 900 games played? I mean, that's craziness, okay? I think that, like, there's a lot of very impressive stats here, obviously. 1208, 60% win rate, 745, 820, like, all these numbers are good. But to me, the thing that I'm, like, most, like, wowed by is just adding up those two numbers in the win-loss season 3. Like, that is wild, I think that I think I spoke to Silver about him, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that might be more games than Silver has ever played in one season. And
Yeah, I think
is
Silver
a
said
top
that he's
contender,
only.
right?
I think he said he's only played 800 ranked games in total.
Yep.
And Raul's played 950
In just this
this
season.
season. Yeah.
So, I mean, just to me, that is super impressive, super surprising, and I think just shows the level of dedication that Raul has.
Yeah, and I mean this win rate, 260%, rivaling Priffin's win rate, basically the exact same. I mean, I wonder if we will see any higher win rates than this. I mean, you play so many matches, it's kind of hard, especially like, Raul being the 1 seed, you're basically only playing a majority of the time, like obviously only people in the top 50, but even then, like people in the top 20, people in the top 25. And so it's just hard to keep that win rate, above even 50% is hard, and this is our number 1 seed, highest elo season 3 player, and it's a 60% win rate. I mean, I'd have to go look at VODs from season 2 and season 1, but I feel like we had players like Silver, players like Loki roll up with win rates like 70%, almost 75 even. Like, I mean, granted, if you don't play 950 games, you can have a better win rate. Like, technically, I think Automat had a 100% win rate because he played 5 games. But if we're talking about like actual meaningful sample size, like I think we're sort of past the era of people having, these 70-75% win rates. The gap between runners has closed. I mean, as people play ranked more and more, learning and skill improvement in almost anything is sort of like logarithmic, I guess, where it speeds up as you're getting all the info, and then as you refine stuff more and more, you're saving smaller and smaller amounts of time. And I feel like with the amount that some of these players have played ranked, I mean, like you said, 950 games in 1 season, like,
Right.
You're refining everything, and it's just like you're slowly pushing that limit of getting the best you can possibly be more and more, but everybody is doing that, so
And, yeah,
I think
I think there's a lot to obviously discuss here with Raul. I think for me though, the big thing, we all know, everyone in chat should be aware that Raul is certainly a contender for one of the best players playing ranked now. Like, I think this is sort of indisputable. He's always at the top of the leaderboards. He's just a very, very skilled player. But the question is, we've seen, at least in the prior playoffs, him not quite perform to the level I think he'd like, right? We've seen him go out earlier than we expect. And for me, the question is, can we see some improvement here? Can we see we know he's a good player outside of tourneys, but can we see some improvement within the tourney? I think the answer is yes. I would love to see Raul do great in this tourney. And I feel like the second that things click for Raul in tourneys, I think it's gonna be all over. Feinberg, you've talked before about how, your first speedrun showdown match against like a really high stakes opponent, the second that you got over that and you won that match, then you felt like you were good from there, and you applied that to future tourneys, right? I feel like if Raul can just get that momentum, right? I think it's going to be, sky's the limit for Raul. That's how I see this. That's how I see these numbers. That's how I see his prior success in outside of tourneys. If he can just get over that little bit of a mental barrier, I think he's going to do great.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have, maybe the most agency out of anybody to speak on tourneys and tourney nerves and stuff. And like you said, I mean, literally, I remember it was I was playing with Technic in Spear Showdown 1, and we were like 2 of the most irrelevant people in the event at the time. And you'd play against like Zalanox, who is just better time, Korb, who had the world record. Like, that was just a duo that we had to play, and like just the nerves there. And then it's just like you said, you get through a game, you win it, and you're like, okay, wow, I can actually do it, and then it keeps that momentum building. And then just the more and more times that you win stuff, like I definitely attribute a lot of tourney success to just being better, but a lot of it also is that I was playing every tournament, and every time I would play one, the nerves would just get lower. And then especially like you play against someone who maybe you're scared of, or like someone plays against you and they're scared of you, and then they have nerves from that, right? Like a lot of these bottom 8 players or qualifier players might be just like, I mean, Bloon said he was scared of Raul, right? So there's maybe a nerve thing working in Raul's favor.
Totally.
Like you're coming into it with a little bit of uneasiness, like knowing that, you're not the favored player potentially by a lot. It depends, like, are you confident in yourself? Like, do you have that ego to, think that you're better, know that you're better, stuff like that? Can you play better on the day of? But I mean, looking at these ranked stats here for Bloon specifically, I mean, not nearly as many matches. 140, 142.
Yep. I mean, good stats, right? Losing 1 to Raul is not necessarily too telling, right? I don't think. And yeah, I mean, to me, what stands out here is, I think we know that Bloons is a good player, but I think this is probably very high stakes. Have we seen Bloons perform in a tourney at high stakes? Well, I just don't know. And so I feel like Raul having more tourney experience might give him the edge in that sense, but also from the more rank experience is obviously going to be some kind of edge. I think that this match definitely leans towards being in Raul's favor, but hey, I mean, you never know. Bloons could totally show up today. I think that's always a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen, and I think we can throw it over to our seed selection before we get into our game. And so much to talk about always with all these matches. We love yapping, and Nerdy, I mean, a little bit of a difference here. Not banning the Ruin Portal, picking the Ruin Portal, and Shipwreck being banned, so we're losing out on one of our 2 Ocean seeds, but we're going to see a Desert Temple seed potentially. If it gets to a seed 3, it's guaranteed. If it gets to a seed 2, which it will, could get picked, 50-50 chance, but interesting ban from Bloons Shipwreck instead of, maybe we've seen a lot of BT bans happen in Season 2, Season 1, stuff like that. Thinking, hey, mechanical overworld, I'm not as practiced as the other players. Shipwreck, a little bit of a wild card seed. Food could be lower, enter could be a little weird, your wood situation, block situation could be a little weird. But the village ban from Raul I think makes sense. It just has a lot of variance and finding everything in the overworld. Maybe you just whiff on the lava pool. I mean, they're usually not in deserts, so it is just harder to find the lava pool. If you're in a plains, you're in a forest, stuff like that. And we're going to see a very mechanics-heavy Ruin Portal seed, which honestly might favor Bloons in the speed, the crafting, everything like that.
Sure. No, that's fair. All that category extension stuff. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm ready to throw us right into it. I think the players are in the lobby ready. I mean, we iced them out for a while, doing all of our yapping, signature yapping, Nerdy. But
hey, it's essential.
It is very, very essential. And look at this elo gap. It's going to be our biggest elo gap seen in any match. 640 elo. That's Bloons would need to win 30 games in a row. I think that's a Fire Aspect 2 sword. They're both playing on not English, but I read Bloons' sword, and I think he's playing in Pirate Speak, and it said something Ember, and I think that's Fire Aspect, which honestly might matter because there is no food in this Ruin Portal, and it is not a obsidianable, completable. That's just a great word that I made up. You need a bucket, basically. I mean, you have the iron, you have 7 iron, so it's fine. Again, look at this interesting play. Bloons getting flint for some reason, even though we have a fire charge. Maybe just doesn't know. I mean, look at this. Just doesn't know we have a fire aspect sword. Getting a flint steel to kill mobs. I don't know here. Maybe just didn't think about it. Let's see, is he going to actually use the fire aspect? He is. So realizes he completely made a mistake here, but that's going to give Raul a big advantage, I think,
for sure,
in time. heading into this seed, and he's got a nice completion going here for this rune portal. Gonna elevate the entire build up by 1 block to dodge the Crying Obsidian on the bottom. Will Bloons do the same? Will Bloons build it on the side?
No.
He'll build on the side. So a little bit more time save. Ral just, you know, knowing his rune portal build a little bit better. And I mean, Ral picks this rune portal seed. Definitely the overworld he's looking for. This is looking to be maybe 20 seconds of time save, if not a little more. Already heading towards the Bastion. Looks like this is going to be backside housing. Does he know the route? Is he going to whip it out? I mean, probably.
Just great stuff. Great stuff from Ral. I feel like just really smart plays overall. Really smart terrain nav. Really smart, you know, rune portal knowledge.
Look at this though. Bloons finds some upper terrain, and
wow, look at that. Yeah,
the gap is a little widened because Ral's not going to commit to the backside housing. He's going to commit to, you know, aggroing a little bit from top down. So definitely a worse spot to enter, and Bloons is going to claw back a little of this overworld time loss in the better terrain. And look at this interesting play too. Ral didn't get the chests up here. Maybe Bloons missed that single as well. I'm not sure. But Ral 100% did not check any of the chests up top. Oh my god, Bloons on 2 HP. 1.5. Looks like we're good. And we have the food, but that's a 5 heart lead, 6 heart lead for Ral.
That means
is that 2 mutton or 1 mutton? I feel like it's maybe 1.5. Like 6 hearts of fast heal, maybe 2, maybe 1.5. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I feel like that's gonna definitely be like at least. It feels like 2 at least, right? I don't know.
Oh, mutton's the same as salmon, and I think with fat, it's probably like 1.5. This is what my gut tells me. Another thing that Bloons did miss out on is in the panic didn't grab the backups, so he's gonna have to build up here and get these and sort of, you know, delay the route a little bit. Not delay, but, you know, just slower, less smooth, you know, delays checking the bottom double. And I mean, oh my god, he elevates with the soul sand, but he gets it back. Okay, didn't actually fully go up, and we're gonna get some more pigs here. But again, they're late. This is a little scuffed. Is Ral already leaving? Potentially. But again, he's got to check this upper chest here. And are we going to get 20? I'm not sure. I think Bloons got 4 obby out of the double. Maybe 5? 4 out of the double. Ral is 19. And there is obby in the single. Bloons did not check this. So he's going to have to leave out of the top and recheck this single. Or I guess check it for the first time. But didn't grab the single being on entering your top-down housing route. And that's going to remove all the time save that I think Bloons had heading into the seed, and gonna give Ral the mental lead here. Yeah, look, Bloons on 19 obsidian. I don't know if he knows he didn't check. Gets, wow, saved obby in the bottom housing manhunt chest. Not the worst mistake in the world, but I mean, look at the food situation, Nerdy. Both on 4 mutton, but this 5 heart difference is still there, and now Bloons just has to not pearl 1 extra time getting in the fort. Couple seconds.
I will say the 5 heart being low health in general is bad. Being low health in a tournament setting where you're nervous, where the stakes are higher than ever, I think is so much worse than like a normal ranked match being low health.
100%. Because you know, like it's not like, oh, I lost the seed 20 elo. Especially like you're playing Ral. Oh, I lost the seed 6 elo. Like it's 640 elo difference. Right. The amount of elo that Bloons would lose if this was a match on the ranked ladder, I think literally maybe 6, maybe 5 or something. Like just genuinely would not lose like any elo. But now it's like you lose this, you're down 1-0. Your shot at $2,500 is just gone. Or I mean, slipping away, I should say. If you're only down 1-0, you could win 2 in a row. But Ral getting that boat eye. Looks like only has to throw 1, some good offsets, but no Nimba on screen. Not sure how far this is. And this is a pretty fast-paced run for Ral. I think he needs 1 more rod, but potentially could be a sub-7 stronghold. And it looks like the explosives. Oh my god, we have 8 beds. We have 4 anchors. We could zero cycle twice, potentially. And it looks like he's ready to go. Do we have pearls to throw? Has the eyes on the hotbar instead of the pearls. Maybe some turning nerves potentially, not sure. But heading to coordinates now. And look at this situation. I mean, Bloon's one mutton down and health still. And Raul has started already purling to chords. Like, this is gonna... We're gonna see a hunger reset from Bloons at some point here, whether it be in the Nether or in the Stronghold. It's just gonna be more time that he's gonna have to claw back. But Raul might be opening the door for him here with this shaky terrain nav to second portal chords. You know, have to go back towards this bastion, and I think was trying to force lower terrain that didn't really work out. Bloons might have a little bit of an edge as he did go to the housing manhunt chest, sort of knows that it's open up down here. And Raul is still going. But look at all these pearls he's throwing. Bloons is just not going to be able to throw these pearls in this situation.
Oh, man. I mean,
the eye gets in the way of the bottom leaf, and he throws another eye, and it gets in the way of the top leaf.
Oh, no.
I think this potentially might be the third eye that we're throwing. Maybe the fourth. Maybe the fifth? I don't know if he crafted 12 and has thrown 5.
Yeah, and it's just not what you like to see. I feel like that kind of stuff can easily cascade, can easily snowball. But hey, Bloons is still going. Bloons is still...
Yeah, a couple of those broke as well, too.
trying.
I think he's going to need an extra rod over Raul's one-eye, boat-eye situation. And Raul in the Stronghold already. Especially with this weird terrain nav. Got a decent spike preemptive at middle right here. Is this going to take us there? Wow, it does. Well done. No food. Smart to look for it. Only one mutton, and you are at full health. But if you need a pearl clip for 0, it could be a little interesting. There's the 8 beds. Gonna craft the anchors, I guess, because we can. Why not? Oh my god, no pearls in the bar. Back dragon, so the food could potentially matter. Are we sending this height? We are. It doesn't look too bad. 86. Has to go to 95. Maybe 1 block offset as well. Yep, gets that 1 block offset in. Maybe a little nervous, but has the time for the turn. Shouldn't break the crystal here. And has more than enough. Wow, it did. I thought he was 1 out, but I guess he wasn't. That's how much I know about 0 nowadays. I guess he just wasn't 1 out. That's all.
How many more beds does Raul have here?
Oh, Raul's got at least 6, I think. Maybe 5 at least. I mean, there's 1 on the ground, and he blew up 1, so yeah, 6, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. No, definitely a runner mistake there, knowing that you have to go 1 more out. I mean, I do a very weird 0 setup. I haven't, learned anything in the past ever. So, to me, it looked fine that he extended 1 more out, but I guess he just didn't. And it's just, something that, slips your mind, right? 95 height on 91, you do have to build that 1 offset to not break the crystal, as breaking the crystal does instantly snap the dragon out of 0. Raul exploded his first bed, and the dragon instantly left. So this does open the door a little bit for Bloons. I mean, he's going to have similar amount of explosives. And look at this preemptive, though. Okay, that ends early. He knows it's mid-right. Is this a push for Raul? It's not going to matter.
I think entering the end would be good, though, for the mental of Bloons here.
Yeah. Or knowing you're close, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's the 6 bed for Raul. 1 for the 4+1. Didn't work it out, but has the 6th bed and is going to take our seed 1, even with a 0 cycle mistake. Barely missing out on the sub 10, was almost potentially sub 9 or low 9. But he clutches out the seed, gonna give himself a 1-0 lead on the best of 3 match. I mean, look at the splits. Just a commanding lead from Raul.
Just every split just getting more and more time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little on the enter bat. You saw, the terrain for Raul being maybe a little worse as far as his nav to the bastion, but then pretty much other than that, it is just smooth sailing for Raul to take this first seed.
Yeah, I mean, this fort split is a little disingenuous as both runners did spawn on the fort, but I think Raul just played the bastion better. Bloons missed the single chest in top housing, which would have saved him a little bit of time, not having to head to the manhunt area. And then Bloons just took a little bit too much damage, didn't distract the pigs well enough, I guess, which is just, I mean, fully a runner mistake, I think, especially checking that double. You're going to have something out of that chest that's going to let you distract the pigs.
Right.
Even you could throw your gold shovel from the overworld to distract, and just ended up getting bullied. Took, I think, 2 hits, was down to, you know, a heart and a half, and wasn't able to get the backup blocks and start a better route as fast as Ral did. So the mistakes just sort of snowballed from there, I think. The food situation, and Ral was able to take a commanding lead in that seed even through the 0 cycle mistake. So I think with that, we're going to throw it over to the Fulham analysis, telling me in the organization chat that I stole his analysis segment. Maybe yapped a little bit too analysis-like, but Fulham will have some stuff to show us for sure.
This guy is yapping, man. He was yapping way too much. There I was thinking, okay, damn, I've really caught some cool insights here. I've got some really good, amazing, fun bits to talk about. And then this guy just yaps about them. He already said everything that I'm going to say. But I'll run through a few things that I noticed during this run. Bloonskiller, as was kind of discussed earlier on, did go for a little bit of an interesting line, deciding to grab Flint in the overworld to make a Flint and Steel when it wasn't necessary, obviously, because we had the fire charge. Maybe was unaware of the situation with the fire aspect sword. I don't know if that's maybe like a lack of knowledge from the language sort of thing, or if it was just literally didn't read it, but eventually realized, oh, damn, I can just use my fire aspect sword here. And as Fine was saying here, there was no access into that first single chest. Gets hit quite a bit on this way down. Seems to be on fine hearts here, but sees 3 piglins running right behind him right here. And because people wanted me to, I can draw on the screen again. These guys right here, alert. We don't like these guys. Having 3, it looks like there's 2 with swords, and it looks like there's one with a crossbow at the back here, but gets hit twice and does lose 5 hearts worth of damage. Going down to 2 HP, not gonna have enough time to block off this area to get the backup blocks up here. Having to instead just ditch that idea, not get the backup blocks, and just continue the route by going straight down, blocking above, which is fine, but does lose a couple of seconds. And we can see also here that Bloons only had 19 obby when they were prepped to leave, and decided to check the manhunt chest rather than going up and going for the single chest that they missed. They would have been able to pearl over as well, which I thought was actually a much smarter play than Raul, being able to come out here and throw a pearl up to the top of the bastion rather than go up the stairs, which is kind of zigzaggy, takes a little bit more time. Going for this pearl instead was a pretty smart play if it wasn't for the lack of food. I think it could have been a really good way to catch up. Obviously, grabbing the obsidian down here was absolutely fine, and didn't end up needing this top chest for obsidian, but they would have been able to check it had the bottom chest not have had it. But at this point, Bloons was slightly behind, and this part really didn't help. It is a pretty tough time with the first eye throw. Was successful, but after checking the different offsets, only a 65% accuracy up here, which is not ideal. So they move slightly to the side and have to try and pillar up here to zoom into their second eye throw, and it's behind the leaves. So they have to throw a third eye while standing on a block, and it goes behind the top leaf. And then they try and throw one more eye to the left-hand side over here. And so they eventually throw 4 entire eyes. And I believe after the 4th eye, they do get 100%. However, with a few breaks and things like that, they did have to get 1 extra rod in the nether, causing them to lose even more time, not only just to throwing the eyes and the time spent measuring and such, but actually having to go and kill more blazes later on. And we can see this was the 0 cycle from Raul here as well. Going to this back dragon, but it was one of the, what was it, 91 height? Yeah, T91. having to offset by 1 to make sure you don't explode the crystal, but it didn't look like Raul offset here, and after using the first bed, the crystal explodes and fireballs Raul. Obviously was still able to see this out, but if Bloonskiller was to want to come back, I'm hoping that Bloons would be able to go for a 0 potentially. Could be a really cool way of coming back in this seed, for example. If there wasn't a perch, if Bloons was able to hit this 0, for example, would have made it a lot more interesting. I wouldn't say that it's completely a one-sided game. I do think that, it doesn't look like it's going to be a clean 2-0. It does seem like Raul had a little bit of competition here, but Bloons are going to have to pick up his game this seed to try and take it down. I'm going to throw you guys back over to Nerdy and Feinberg right now to go through the next seed.
Another W analysis segment from Fulham. I didn't steal too much with the yapping, guys, okay? I'll try to keep the yapping down to a minimum, okay? I try to like fill the gap, but Fulham is too quick with it. I feel like that I have to do time stalling to get him ready with the clips and everything. But Fulham's too cold with it, too cold, as they say. I have my terrible 11 a.m. British accent, but I don't need the app as much. Anyways, I mean, yeah, 1-0 right now for Raul. Is this going to be another 2-0 Nerdy for our top seed, or do you think Bloons showed enough, speed, enough brilliance to where he could potentially win seed 2?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think for me personally, I think this is really good for Raul. Obviously, getting the 1-0 lead is good, but for me, what I saw here in today's match was just composure from Raul, right? Very few mistakes. Maybe not the fastest in certain areas like the terrain nav, but overall just very consistent, very clean, no big mistakes. I mean, you could say the 0 was a mistake, I guess, but yeah, I feel like that's a hard 0.
That's really
0.
the one thing. Yeah. It's really the one thing.
And I don't see a lot of bad things from Raul's gameplay. I mean, if he could just keep that up, right? I think if he can win this match, that would be huge, especially in a 2-0. I think that would be really good for Raul's chance of moving forward mentally, right?
Yeah.
And so, while I will say Bloons is still exceptionally good runner, this is looking pretty good for Raul in my opinion overall.
Yeah, and I mean, I completely agree with you with the mental, especially like if Raul can take the 2-0 and not be like, okay, wow, well, I mean, maybe you win even 2-1, but it's like, oh, I dropped the seed against Bloons like he's the number 16 seed, like that. And it weighs on your mental going into the top 8, especially like he has to play either like Danny Boy or Automat. No, not Automat's 9 seed. I don't know. We could throw it to the bracket actually for a bit to see. Before we look at our seed selection, we can
I think that's right.
take a quick look at the bracket. See that Priffin has been our first quarterfinal qualified participant after beating Papler in our match 1 of today. Yeah, so it is Automat. Automat is the 9 seed. I didn't think he would be, but
yeah.
So
I mean, overall, what I think that means is, I really think it's we know Raul's a great player. If we can see him get a 2-0 here, I feel like that, to me, that shows like notable improvement since the last playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I do think he got unlucky in the last playoffs. I think he was the number 2 seed in season 2, and we did the seeding a little bit different for the quals, and so Dougal ended up being the 15 seed from the quals.
Yeah, I do remember that. You're right.
That was just like having to play a best of 3 against Dougal, where it's like maybe you have one unlucky seed, and then it's like, okay, you have to win 2 in a row, versus like a best of 7, where it could go down to Game 7, right? I think getting this win, getting the quarterfinals will be big, and I'm ready to look at the seed that Bloons has picked for us for match 2 before we get right into it. What do you think? What is it, either BT or Desert Temple? And it's the BT. I think that makes sense, but I'm rooting for Bloons in this seed now. I want to see a second Desert Temple. That's my opinion.
No, I think this, like you said, it makes sense. Raul's a very, very smart player. He's he's very creative. We saw with the Ruin Portal last seed using the creating sort of a new Ruin Portal out of the Ruin Portal, right? And similarly, I think you know, for a Desert Temple, Rao is going to come up with creative time saves that, you know, only he could come up with, right? Very, very creative stuff. And for that reason, I think picking BT makes more sense. It's more consistent. It's more linear. And you know, you just want to simplify the playing field. You know what I mean? And I think in that, from that perspective, it does make sense for Bloons to pick this.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think I'm ready to get into it. I think the players are ready to get into it. I think we're ready to see, hopefully for Ral, a 2-0 for Ral, hopefully for Bloons, getting us into a seed 3 is the idea. But looks like these players are ready. And yeah, I mean, have we? I don't think today we've seen both runners be in the end at the same time. So hopefully we can get a match that's like that. I mean, definitely nice if you're the player who is dominating. And potentially a very quick, nope, wrong chunk for Bloons. 1 off, so I was going to be a little bit ahead here, but not too much. 2 diamonds only. Unfortunate, no diamond pickaxe. But now it's just getting those crafts off, getting the shears, getting the blocks, and trying to find the enter. We did see in the Priffin Papler game on the buried treasure seed, Papler losing time to finding the wrong ravine. So can these players dodge that? Will they find the same enter? We will see.
But for iron doors here, both runners love to see it. Makes sense, of course, with all that extra iron. And yeah, I mean, just good stuff here from these overworlds. But like, look how similar these are compared to the last seed, right?
But
Where we saw so much
Bloons is out first, just purely off of crafting speed.
Yeah, I saw a few little misclicks from Ral. Yeah, for sure.
Fair. But is just ahead and finds this ravine. Looks like Ral's going to also be forcing this ravine as well. This is a very awkward 1 deep 2x1. Oh my god, Bloons is doing the same exact thing that Papler was doing. This we're transitioning the 2x1 into something reminiscent of an L shape. And Ral, I mean, Bloons is like, okay, I can craft faster than you, but Ral knows his portals better. And so he's in the nether first, and we are on housing. So beautiful. Love to see it. Same spot for both runners. No visibility of the fort yet, but what route are we going to do? Are we going to do mid down? Are we going to do top down? And it looks like Bloons is heading to the manhunt chest already. Gets a pre-aggro on a pig as well. Not going to be actually opening that chest or breaking it for that matter. And this is scary too. Gonna find some gold here. Gonna need this distraction gold. He's gonna break. Nice distraction gold there because you're breaking that gilded blackstone early. So it's gonna take 1 hit, but not a huge deal. Does have the health lead over Rel. I think this is gonna be a very important thing to look at actually in a lot of our games today. Feels like the player who's been food managing better. I mean, does that mean that like you're just, you know, the better overall player? Like if you're better at food managing, does that also correlate to being better at like Zero or better at decision making in general? But it has been the case where the runner that has managed their food better today has won every seed so far. So
yeah,
is it truly a very important thing? Is it just a microcosm of the player as a whole? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it does represent a lot, you know, not taking damage, having probably going faster is going to lead to better food, you know, usage, right? And you just need less food if you go faster. But at the end of the day, I think it's probably, you know, there's going to be edge cases, of course, where, you know, the faster runner might use more food, but I think for the most part, like you said, it's definitely going to be representative of the superior player in that moment.
Oh, Bloons on 2 hearts. This pig with a sword, Oh, still on hard. Had to get the upper blocks. Didn't toggle off hard and took 1 hit. You know, maybe not entirely his fault because of, you know, just how piglins, they only update their AI every second. And so if you sort of get unlucky on that updating period, they can kind of hit you once before you really can do much about it. And you can play around it, like sort of know how to play around it, but sometimes you kind of just get hit. It looks like Bloons is going. I don't know. I think he pyrade just now, but these runners taking could not possibly be more different terrain on this seed. Maybe 80 Y elevation blocks separating them. I didn't know a better way to phrase that, but it looks like Ralph found the better terrain, but Bloons is right here on the fort as well. This is that food difference though. Ralph's too caught up,
Right.
and
Like the exact same
4
situation.
hearts. Like Bloons had it for a little bit and then just took damage in the bastion, ran into one skeleton outside of housing that he got shot by twice. You know, I mean, getting shot once, sure, twice, definitely run a mistake, and it's just making the siege slower. But is he gonna hit the spawner first? Finds an inside part of this fort. Honestly, this looks like a bad part of this fort. I would think the spawners would be in more of a different spot, but neither runner has found it yet. Having another bit of a force and CD moment from both runners. Unfortunate which situation potentially, but it'll come back. Came back last time, it'll always come back. It'll come back and Bloons will have 6 rods. That's the idea, right? That's the script. Bloons has 1 rod. Ral had 2. Is he still gonna have 2? Is he gonna be at a spawner?
He's gonna have killed the dragon, you know?
He is at a spawner and he's got 6 rods. So it wasn't Bloons that had 6, but it's Ral that had 6. A little bit of better spawner nav on this seed went to, you know, a more attractive open part of the fort and is just going to be building his first player with 7 rods. Guys, we're doing our best. Internet things happen. They happen in the quals. They're happening here. We will fix it as we can. It is what it is, guys. What can you do? We are working through it.
Not much you can do, unfortunately.
Yeah. It is all good, though. It'll come back, though. Came back after the Proof and Papler thing. It'll come back. I believe.
I mean, we're getting like a few frames here and there, which is good, you know? At least we're not like totally in the dark.
That is true. That is very true. No, you're good. Chat, do we know if it's a Twitch exclusive thing or a Feinberg stream exclusive thing?
I don't think it's a Twitch thing because I have your stream here and it's working. But you never know.
Possible. Chat, we are trying to figure it out. It is what it is. We will have time, especially since it does look like Ral is getting to the end game splits faster. The end already. Kind of sync up Bloons' stream again. Maybe this fix it. Maybe we should go to auto. Maybe we have a 160p for a little bit. But guys, we're figuring it out. We will figure it out. Back 1 and 8. Has the food, but he's going to be in 1 heart after this pearl. This is a little risky. Especially, I mean, we don't know exactly what split Bloons is on. I think he's in the stronghold. So, I mean, it makes sense that Ral does have to go for the 0, but this is risky. Risky 0 on the scale of what zeros are risky, especially because we have the Soul Sand FOV, and it flies as he's placed the anchors down. How many explosives does Ral have? I have no idea. We could actually be seeing a game 3 here. Bloons half bowing. Wow, this is intense. We're catching up with the lag is like catching up as we pause and unpause. Looks like it's fully caught up for both runners. Hopefully the internet issues are behind us and not among us. It's us. But it looks like it's going to be a perch race. So Ral definitely has enough. I jinxed it. Ral definitely has enough explosives, I think, because he would be full bowing regardless, right? Like if he didn't have enough, that's what I can kind of say mentally. And that might be the start of a perch approach phase for Ral. It looks like he's running into it.
But
Might be expecting it.
There we go. I think that's the perch.
There's the perch for Ral, yeah, and he's got 4 beds, it looks like.
And surely Ral takes the 2-0 victory here.
Yeah, gets it with the 4-bet too. Doesn't even need the diamond sword as well. I mean, this is sub at 9, maybe low 9 actually. Not sure with the delay or whatnot.
Yeah, sub
nope,
9.
sub 9, 857. Well played. Chat again. Apologies about the internet things. We will do our best to fix it before our next best of 3. But that's gonna be a quick 2-0 for Ra, and. Yeah, I mean, definitely a closer match, though, I think. I mean, we did have to fight through, watching a little bit of lag, but I think this just was closer, right? Like, both in the end, both waiting for a perch at the same time. That was the first time we've even seen both runners in the end at the same time in general, you know? And it was close enough to the point where if Bloons hit a faster perch, he could have won the seed. Raul got an 857. That gives Bloons a minute and 21 to get the end fight over with. That's very doable, especially with a decent half bow RNG. So did his best to try to come back, push the momentum, but Raul was just too fast. Every split being a green split here, and basically gaining time everywhere except for the stronghold decision.